pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I'll call this meeting to order. Our first order of business is public announcements. In December, council will begin reviewing appointment applications for several open volunteer positions on many local boards and committees, including the following: a Budget Committee, Planning Board, Land Use Board of Appeals, Economic Development Committee, Board of Assessment Review, Voter Registration Board of Appeals. If you are interested in serving your community, please complete an appointment application form available at www.fairfieldme.com or at the town office. Appointments are made at the town council's January annual organizational meeting. The 2019 dog licensing tags are available at the town office. Current 2018 dog licenses expire on December 31st. Our second order of business is public hearings, to which we have none. Our third order of business is public comments. Members of the public may speak to the council on any item or reserve the right to speak on a specific item once that item is addressed. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak? No, seeing none. Moving on to our fourth item of business, reports from staff and committees, town manager's report.
So to, excuse me, follow up on your announcement regarding appointments, we actually received word on Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving, that the newly elected school board member Buffy Higgins will not be able to fulfill that position due to a conflict of interest. So as per the charter, the town council needs to appoint someone to fulfill that 3-year term. Notice of the position is being drafted, and we'll get that posted shortly. It'll follow the same application process as well as in the past. What council has done is asked for letters of intent and possibly even resumes. We'll put that on your next agenda for a discussion about what you'd like for a deadline for those applications. We wouldn't keep it as tight as what we currently have been advertising for the regular positions.
Okay.
The school board is aware. They do know that she was not going to be able to serve. They actually investigated the conflict of interest side of it. So her husband actually has a working position with the school, so it created a conflict.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah, she was disappointed, but she understood, and actually she brought it to our attention, and they'll wait, but they're excited for her husband's opportunity with the school, so it was definitely good for their family. And then also on the 15th of November, I attended the Somerset Economic Development Corporation meeting. We're going to start working with them on the process for getting funding for the training facility for the fire department. Also on the 15th, I attended the First Park General Assembly meeting. The new draft 3-year marketing plan was presented by Marshall Communications that we've been working on for the last 8 or 9 months. So that was a good piece. Just for an update on a couple of things, all of the department heads have started working on their 19-20 budgets, so that's going to be coming soon. Gizos LLC has submitted an application to the planning board for the landfill on the solar project on our landfill, so that's still moving forward. I also was contacted this week about setting up a public hearing public meeting, which is a DEP requirement for environmental permitting for a 3rd solar property project on Route 201. So that's going forward, so that's really good. We're hopefully going to be the solar capital of Central Maine here pretty soon. And then the press release for Parsifal Corporation's relocation to Fairfield was sent out last Wednesday, and it has been posted to the town's Facebook page. So if you see that, make sure you share that with folks so to get that word out. And that's it for me.
Do you have any committees? No,
They
no
should
committees.
meet next week, hopefully.
Next week, okay. All right, our fifth order of business, to waive the reading of and accept the minutes as printed or amended for meeting number 2018-19 held on November 14th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Our sixth order of business is a treasurer's warrant to approve the treasurer's warrant number 32 in the amount of $102,848,000.15.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Our seventh order of business, to take action on the following items of business. Order that the town council hereby approves the Summit Geoengineering Services proposal for the foundation evaluation at the police station in the amount of $9,000 to be expended from the capital improvement account.
So moved for discussion.
Second for the discussion.
We have a motion and a second, and discussion. I did notice in there that it was 9 to 11, potential 11.5.
That is correct. The additional 2,500 would be for the interior hand borings, where they would actually go in and drill through the floor within the police station. Our initial thought is to find out what's going on outside first, to see whether or not that is needed, and then we would come back to council with the initial results. Our goal is, quite frankly, at this point, we're still in the investigation stage, and it's to do the least amount possible to actually find out what's going on, to continue our investigation, because we're also not sure what the fix is going to be, so we're continuing on that path. But right now, we'd like to try to avoid the internal hand borings if we can, and then would bring that back if we thought it warranted that, based upon what happens on the outside, if there are any indications for that. We're still in conversation with our insurance company as to whether or not any of this would be covered by them. Their initial thought process is that it would not. However, they haven't been able to provide me with a reason why yet, so we're still working on that. We haven't received anything official, but that has been sent to them. As everything is, what we've done preliminarily is Dirigo Engineering has come, they've brought in their survey equipment, they've done the measurements around the building. If you were to go into the police department right now and actually walk from one side of the building to the other, you would be able to feel the difference. You can feel the elevation changes. And originally we contacted Dirigo because our initial concern was to make sure the building was safe for our employees and the public to be in that building, which they have assured us at this point in time. They do believe that it is. They don't see anything that warrants us having to shut the building down. But the big concern is to try to figure out why it is sinking and whether it's going to continue to do that. Did it do it and it's not going to do it again? With the elevation changes, you notice that it's the front right corner, if you're standing out here on Water Street, being at 0. The back left corner of the building is down 7.5 inches. The measurements change from front right of building to front left corner of the building. It's, I think, 2.5 inches change. 2 1/4 inches. So it is definitely moving, but we can't tell right now why. So the geotechnical piece of this would be doing the borings, the coordination with all the utilities to find out what's going on in the soils underneath the
Do
building.
they know the time frame of how quickly it is changing, or?
We do not. We do not know. What brought it to our attention was a change in the way the doors were sitting within their door frames. Doors that were locking were not sitting properly so that they were not latching. And you could see a difference from one side of the left corner of the door jamb to the right corner of the door jamb, where it would be flush on the left, but down almost 1 inch or 1/2 inch on the right.
And were they thinking heaving in the beginning?
In the beginning we were, but because it was still October, I think, when we started this, it's not like frost was in the ground. So that was our initial piece. We really were just scratching our heads trying to figure out exactly what was going on. So.
Yeah, from an insurance standpoint, basically what they're saying is that it's not going to cover any of the repair work that needs to be done. However, if there is any building damage that is done, which obviously we can't tell until everything goes through, if there's any building damage done from that, that damage would be covered.
Well, once we started our investigation and going through, we realized that there are places where the interior walls are separating from the exterior wall.
Yeah.
There is a crack in the rear facade of the building. Based upon our research, we had found out that there actually was a crack in the rear portion of the building, noticed quite a few years ago, long before my time, and we believe the current police chief's time, that was repaired, but at that time it was believed to be just a crack in the brick facade, and it was repointed. Nobody thought that it was because the building had shifted and moved. So it wasn't until the survey pieces were done that we realized the extent of it and what was going on.
There's no report then that gives us any general idea when this actually started occurring? And
We haven't been able to find anything.
No papers or anything?
We haven't found anything.
But they do
so.
have some structural damage to the supporting walls as well, right?
It's interior walls so the deviation of spaces, whether or not they're structural, no one has actually, I don't know as if they're holding up the roof or not. But they're basically the wall that separates the, like the locker room from a storage room. You can see where it's started to pull, it's pulling away from the wall up in the top corner where things are moving, so. So that's where we're at.
We'll have to keep the snow off the roof as well. Just
Yeah, in
case.
we do that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it
we've had
would
to have that shoveled a
probably
couple of times.
Probably make it a lot better that something doesn't collapse from that.
If they do an interior test bore on that, are they gonna wanna do it right after they've done this outside, or is it going to be put off for a while? I mean, I would just as soon see this go on that NT not to exceed 11.5, and if they need to do it right off.
And that's fine too. There was no indication that because it's listed as optional, it wasn't indicated to me that it had to be done at the same exact time in order for the results to mean anything. It was just one of those pieces where you could do it. It was going to require us to probably we'll definitely have to make some extreme arrangements within the police department when they're inside doing that drilling. And that's why we kind of would like to put it off if we can, because of what it will do inside the building, drilling that concrete. But yes, I mean, certainly if you wanted to do the not to exceed, it would definitely expedite the process. So the account that is referenced for this to be taken out of is the general capital improvement account that we have for all of our buildings. It currently has a balance of $154,969.98. So it definitely has the funds in there to sustain it. So
Well, safety first, that's my motto. Things pulling away is not a good thing.
All right,
So,
is there any objection to make it a not to exceed 11.5? Does anybody vehemently object to that?
No, I don't object to that at all. I think it should, whatever they need to do, it needs to be done for safety reasons and for, you can't run a police station if your walls are falling down and.
So then the amount would go from $9,000 to a not to exceed $11,500.
I agree.
All those in favor?
you didn't actually have a motion to vote on the amount?
Yes.
You only had a motion for discussion.
Oh, motion for discussion, okay.
I would say a point of order. In Robert's
Not
Rules of
really.
Order, there is no such thing as a motion for
Motion for
discussion.
discussion, right.
When
It
you
was a
move the
motion,
question,
and I
it
just
is-
Okay.
added for discussion
Right.
purposes. But
So-
that had nothing to do with, the motion itself was to accept the bid.
Right.
So moved,
It's already been done.
okay,
Okay, motion passes.
okay. We just want to make sure.
11-5.
Not to exceed
11.5.
11.5, yes.
Just want to make sure it's right.
Okay,
Perfect.
so that
Thank you.
is that and that.
Okay,
They did state that it would be a couple of weeks once they were given approval to get that scheduled, so it'll be closer
Oh,
to
yeah.
probably your second meeting in December. If not, maybe, it might even be after the first of the year before we have the results, depending on how quickly they can coordinate with the utilities,
Yep.
so.
all right. item number 18-89. Order that the town council hereby approves the rebuild of the pump on fire truck E3 via Reliance Equipment up to the amount of $11,675 to be expended from the fire department equipment capital reserve account.
So moved.
Second.
I see that we
Spitting
did.
gravel, right?
Yes, and this has all happened very, very quickly, which was why this was an add-on yesterday. This truck is currently in the lift at Reliance because it was going for scheduled maintenance anyway, and this was discovered during a previous call. We have contacted our insurance company, and an adjuster has been in today. We haven't gotten the final report yet, but we do believe it's actually going to be covered by the insurance.
Great.
So what we were thinking, which we would still have to pay for the deductible, which is going to be $1,000. Their Reliance needs to certify the fact that this was a one-time event, not a specific event, not a long-term wear and tear, which they were the ones that brought it to our attention. So
Shouldn't
we
be an
think
issue
that
there.
it shouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
But we figured we'll keep this as one of the reasons why it says up to, so that we knew that we could cover the cost of the repair while we were still working with the insurance company, because we didn't know how long that was going to take.
That was
So
an older truck, right? That's not the one
it's
that we
the,
got.
no, it's not the new one.
Okay.
It's a 2009.
2009, 9 years old.
Well,
Yeah, and we've got ample amount of money in our capital equipment reserve account to,
For the fire department.
for the fire
to cover
department to
that.
cover that.
And
and
then
if
there,
it's covered by insurance, that's just,
We won't
that's
need it
a
anyway.
gravy right
Yep.
there. so.
and then they're gonna be working on a procedure for any time that we do use a dry hydrant in the future. There's actually a way that they can go in and flush these units, so to make sure that this
Oh,
isn't
good.
something that can happen again, and
Yep.
Reliance is gonna show them how to make sure that that gets done, and they'll create a procedure for that.
We
This
wanna
is
we wanna
never
put out
happened
fires,
before.
but we don't wanna break windows.
But we don't wanna break stuff either. Well, when your hose nozzles are clogged with
Yeah,
sand, you're
yeah.
not,
You're spraying,
gonna
you're
put out
spraying
fires.
gravel.
It's
No.
good for crowd control.
Yeah, crowd control, yes.
right?
Do they have screens on those, chief? Are they,
There is, but.
more mesh than a screen?
The holes are relatively big.
Okay.
Probably close to a half an inch or so. If you put too dense of a screen, it interrupts with the flow.
Right.
Of the water, so you know.
Sure.
Okay. But we do have, there is a large mesh in there to take large
Yes, it
objects
is
out.
large.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All right. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Excellent. Moving on.
All right, our eighth order of business, council workshop and other business. Number one, discuss public safety ordinance, Article 3. And that was, right there. Taxi cabs.
Page 11. Or section 11, I should say.
Section 10 is gone.
We got it.
Yep.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Just right there. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I keep getting caught up on your paperwork.
Change on page 3.
Yep.
I didn't see anything
On page 5.
blatantly obvious.
So our original review of this ordinance was to continue to work on all of our pieces that have fees assigned to them as we're moving them all to the external fee schedule. And one of the things that stuck out to us was not only the fee for the business license for taxi cabs, but we were actually regulating the fees in which taxis could charge. And surprise, that's not what they were charging, as we did our investigation. So, not only is it to move the fee for the taxi cab license out of this ordinance, but it is also removing removing section 10, which was the paid rates that were in there,
Yeah.
and to delete pretty much that entire section. My conversation with the police chief right before Thanksgiving when we were going over this was that, you know, it shouldn't be up to the municipality to decide whether or not a taxi cab's gonna charge you for an extra package or not if they're going to be delivering it. So just by removing that entire piece, is what's gonna make it fit, so that we're not regulating businesses themselves, so.
Right.
They're gonna do what they want anyway.
Right. And we danced around a lot of language, so to try to, you know, make sure taxi cab companies were accountable and that our residents were treated fairly, but
Right.
most folks, if you're gonna call for a cab, you're gonna ask how much it is to go somewhere, and if it's too expensive, you're gonna go to a different company. That's the way commerce
Absolutely.
works. So we shouldn't be in the business of regulating what
No,
they charge.
And it keeps the piece that they have to post their rates. So that has not been removed from the ordinance, and that's
Right.
standard with all the other ordinances in the area.
Yep.
So with respect to the posting rates, because it says here, the provider must convey the anticipated fare rate prior to passenger transport. Do we have an idea in mind of like how we actually want them to post the rates? Like clearly in the vehicle, or like an elevator has to have a conspicuously displayed certificate? Do we have any sense that that would be something that we would want to?
So that's under section 10A.
Yes.
Correction, since Wednesday, would be proposing that actually go away. That entire section 10
Yep.
be completely deleted.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that didn't go out in what was in your packet, and I forgot to mention that.
I was
Yeah.
But as you
That's-
said, they're gonna call
Our
and
conversation
ask
was to,
anyways.
if we deleted this entire section, because we went back and forth about what was actually a civil matter, what was a municipal law enforcement matter. It was quite the hefty debate Wednesday before Thanksgiving, but
I'm sure.
if we deleted this entire section, it gets rid of all of the issues that would be surrounding that, because that is another good piece. Right now, actually, the police chief does actually call a cab company at least once a year and rides with them, has them pick him up. Doesn't have them come here so that they know they're picking up the police chief, just to evaluate what our cab companies are doing and how people are being treated. So
So-
it is a practice that we do
For
have.
getting rid of section 10 entirely, if we look back at section 9, that still or maybe this changed too and it didn't go out, but section 9 as written, which was not changed in the draft that we were sent, states.
See that,
Do I have it?
yeah, that may be fixed by the
That-
municipal officers. Yeah,
Right,
I see
and
that.
so now so I think if we're going to get rid of section 10, we need to change this, because this would frankly put them on notice that they should be checking with us about rates that if we don't set, I don't know why we would have that
So
language
that
in
would
there.
come out.
I do like the idea of keeping the,
Background
a
check.
schedule of rates, although not obviously so fixed, so that, at least our residents are still informed. I mean, while I don't think we should regulate how much they charge, I do think we have some interest in requiring that they be forthcoming with the information about how much they're going to charge.
Okay.
But we're
That makes
still going
sense.
to have the operator's license in reciprocating communities. They will not be charged the background check for initial licensing only?
That all stays.
That all
That all
stays?
stays.
Okay. That I like.
And then if we're removing section 10, which I wasn't here on Wednesday, so I missed that as well, I would subsequently renumber the other sections, just so you know, I'd
Right.
make that housekeeping edit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so we can keep that
problem.
there and adjust that. I
Adjust
apologize, I didn't even think to read
Well, I
back
mean,
in the
most people,
section
when they
before.
call a cab, are gonna ask how much.
Well, yeah, how
anyway.
much?
Yeah.
They're not gonna wait and then
That-
not have enough money to
That-
pay.
That is
Exactly.
true, but if somebody were to,
Hail a cab.
Hail a cab
on the
or-
street corner.
and there's nothing that would prevent them from doing that, or even if they called up and said how much, and then they only knew from one destination to another, decided, hey, I want to make a stop on the way, they should know how much it's gonna be to run the meter.
Yeah.
And I think we would actually be, I think, pretty much the very small minority of municipalities across the country that doesn't require some disclosure of cab rates if we
rates.
didn't do it.
I'm wondering if it's actually part of this statute. We'll research that and make sure we bring that back for you for the,
I mean, it's
for the
been
next
a lot of years
piece.
since I took a
We'll-
cab.
we'll get
Most
that
cabs,
addressed.
when you get into, have the, you get in and they got the rates listed right up on top.
Generally.
That's why I'm wondering if
But-
it's actually part of state statute of what they have to
I
do.
think
but-
they do charge so much, like if you go like to Hannaford's or whatever and you're buying parcels to be transported, and if you're elderly and they help you bring that to your house, then I think that they do charge a little bit extra for that, because, I mean, most people don't do it out of a courtesy. They generally want to get paid.
The companies I contacted all said they don't charge for additional passengers and that they
Right.
don't charge for extra packages or parcels.
No?
Not locally, not I contacted, as outlined in my memo, PT Cab, JP Taxi, and Elite, which are some of the primary cab carriers right in for the Fairfield area. They all said that, and they said that it was pretty common with some of the other carriers as well.
Yeah, because there's a lot of elderly people that don't drive anymore, and they take cabs, and they do it to do their groceries. Because I've seen it. Okay.
So we'll get that fixed, and I'll double check the law to see if it does reference the posting of their rate schedule.
Okay. I'll be ready for December 12th.
Yes.
Draft or final version for public hearing, and are we done with the public safety ordinance or no?
Do you want to bring this back for discussion, or do you feel comfortable enough with the change going out that we go forward with the public hearing for the fix?
I feel comfortable enough with the public hearing.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too.
So what will happen is, at your December meeting will be the public hearing on all of the changes that we've made to the public safety ordinance. It'll include all of them, so.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Good.
All right, discuss the general assistance ordinance.
So when we were recently going through our annual audit, our representative with DHHS brought to my attention that there's a more current version of the general assistance ordinance at the statewide level for municipal officer adoption. So this would, if you choose to move forward with this, we would schedule the public hearing for the next meeting and adopt the changes as the state has outlined them. There are 3 sections that are updating the current, I believe it's like 126 pages of ordinance. So the first section that they made edits to was related to banks when we are seeking information related to funeral or cremation. A financial institution must disclose the amount deposited upon receipt of written request from the municipality or its agents, et cetera, et cetera. So it's adding a little bit of bite in our request when we are researching the support material related to whether or not we would find a household eligible to receive that benefit or not. It gives us a better financial picture. If we're not receiving cooperation from the family per se, we can actually approach the financial institution ourselves, which is great news for the complicated cases that we occasionally see. The next section was related to the responsibility of family members related to burial or cremation. So the financial responsibility of certain family members, they've removed the portion where they talk about the grandparents, parents, children, grandchildren of the deceased who live in Maine or on property in Maine, financially responsible for the burial or cremation of the deceased. That's all been deleted and reworded. And they go into individually or as a group if they have financial capacity, either in lump sums or by means of a budgeted arrangement. So the new language says, effective November 1st, 2017, grandparents, parents, children, and grandchildren of the deceased, whether or not living or owning property in Maine, and the spouse or registered domestic partner of the deceased are financially responsible for the burial, cremation, or cremation of the deceased. To the extent those relatives, individually or group, have financial capacity to pay for the burial or cremation, either in a lump sum or by means of a budgeted payment arrangement with a funeral home. Accordingly, at the request of the administrator, all legally liable relatives must provide the municipal administrator with any reasonably requested information regarding their home, regarding their income, assets, and basic living expenses. The administrator may also seek information from financial institutions holding assets of the deceased. Effective November 1st, 2017, Maine law requires a financial institution to disclose the amount deposited in the corporation or association when the municipality or its agents are acting in accordance with Section 4313(2) and provide written request or a notarized affidavit signed by the overseer of the municipality or its agent stated that the name of the depositor is deceased. So it's tightening up the language related to what a person can, what an administrator can seek for information for the backup. A lot of times our applicants are coming into us with minimal support documentation. Sometimes they're family members that don't know where the paperwork was. The person may not have kept good records. This allows the municipality to step right in and make a direct request. And obviously when a family is grieving, it's a very difficult time for them to be trying to make all these things come together. So it does allow the municipality to have a little bit more bite and help in the process. Last but not least, used to be 10 days to administer and determine the eligibility. It's 8 days. It's been changed to 8 days. And they've just tweaked the language so that it's 8 days from the date of an application or burial cremation assistance versus the contact by the funeral director. Although I would like to note the funeral director still has 3 business days to contact us. And that's in a prior portion, and that has not changed. And then on page 82, the 8-day eligibility determination period from the date of application versus by the funeral director was clarified. It still starts with the funeral director and the municipality having a conversation. Whether we're approached by the client or not, we still have to work with the funeral director as well. So those are the major changes, and my recommendation is that we do adopt this, because when I do call to receive assistance from the state on every case that we process, it's nice to have it aligning with the current laws as well as the current ordinance, as opposed to we're looking at the 2006 ordinance. So this will just bring us current. We would adopt, Michelle and I were talking about re-adopting all of the subsequent tables. Even though you did the updated tables in October, this one's comprehensive and includes the burial and cremation and all the other subsequent appendices. So we'd like to do the full Monty, if you will, and then go back in October to the annual updates, well, September for October 1 updates annually from there.
There would be no adjustments to the appendices that you just did. It just makes it cleaner for when we need to do the review, because you actually adopted appendices for an ordinance that would no longer be in existence, so this cleans the whole thing up. And we have, if you've noticed in the monthly general assistance welfare director reports as they've come through over the last couple of years, if you were to look at the summations, the number of cremations that we are assisting with is increasing. It is a piece that is happening across the entire state. There's a lot of folks that are seeing a lot more of them. So the more that we are empowered to try to collect the financial information of someone who has passed away, makes it much easier for us to be able to process those in a timely manner. So this is a good piece. It was a good catch. And by the way, the audit that we did have done by the state went extremely well, and they did not find any issues with anything that we had, other than the fact that they just happened to note that our ordinance was a little bit out of date. So it did go very, very good.
Excellent. Thank you. Very nice.
And I'm happy to schedule the public hearing for December 14th if you wish.
Sounds good to me.
14th.
I think it's the 12th.
I'm sorry, 12th, yes.
I was going to say,
December
you're
12th.
adding an extra day
Yeah,
there.
no, December, I'm happy to add it to the list for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Very good. Put that on there, and we will put that to rest at the next meeting, so to speak.
Thank you.
Other council business? Beverly?
Yes, I would like to extend my condolences, and I'm sure that the rest of the council would as well, to Councilwoman Chandler. today she lost somebody in her family. They passed away, and she had to go back to Connecticut to take care of business. So I want to express my condolences to her family and to her. And that's it.
Very good.
I would echo.
I believe we all would on that, yes, absolutely. Is there anything else you have, John? Aaron?
Nothing else.
And I have nothing at this time. And with that, the next regular meeting of the Fairfield Town Council will be on Wednesday, December 12th,
Yep.
2018. At this time, the council will recess and sign all documents that require signatures of council members.
So moved.
Second.
We are in recess.